Everything was perfect. Then the phone rang. I turned slowly. The old phone was fixed to the wall, but how? It's broken. I hesitated before picking up the receiver. Who's there? No answer. Just slow, heavy breathing. Won't you speak? Suddenly the line went dead. Then I stepped into the bathroom. The wait was over. On the mirror, a message was etched in steam. Don't look behind you now. It's too late. My reflection remained still, but it wasn't alone. My name is Leo, and this is my story. I never thought that my calmness would become a burden one day. When I moved into this house on the outskirts of the city, I was looking for a quiet place, away from the noise and crowd. I had always preferred solitude, and I thought this place would be perfect for me. The house is old but sturdy, with wooden walls that sometimes creak with the wind. Its large windows overlook a dense forest, and the entire place exudes the tranquility I had been searching for. I bought it at a good price, perhaps because the previous inhabitants hadn't felt at ease there. But for me, there was nothing to worry about. At first. On the first night, I sat near the fireplace, trying to warm my hands while the snow piled up outside. Everything seemed perfect until the phone rang. The phone was an old piece mounted on the wall, and I didn't expect it to work. I hesitated before picking up the receiver. Who's there? No one answered. Just slow, heavy breathing. As if the caller was intentionally holding their breath. Aren't you going to speak? Suddenly the line went dead. I thought it was a mistake or maybe a prank from one of my few friends who knew my new number. But the ringing continued the next night, the third night, and every night after that with the same heavy breathing and the same eerie silence. One morning I woke up to find the window glass covered in frost with something on it. I approached and realized there were letters drawn with a finger on the icy layer. You like black coffee? My hands shook. A simple fact, but who could know it here? I hadn't told anyone. Maybe someone saw me through the window. But the forest was empty, and the windows were high up. I hurried to wipe away the message, trying to convince myself it was just a coincidence. But the messages continued to appear every morning, becoming more detailed. Your favorite book is The Idiot by Dostoevsky. Why do you hide the knife under your pillow? The messages began to mention details no one had ever seen. Even my secret habits, like the hour I wake up at night to write in my journal. Fear began to creep into my bones. I decided to watch. I placed a small camera in front of the window and stayed awake for several nights. But the camera recorded nothing but the shadows of trees. And I saw no one. Yet, the messages kept appearing every morning as if the writer vanished into thin air. I went to the nearby town and asked the neighbors about the previous residents. They said the house had witnessed many horrors, but no one mentioned anything about the messages. I met an old police officer who warned me. There are things that can't be explained, son. Some houses carry the memories of those who left. I returned to the house, clutching a bottle of sleeping pills. But sleep was no safe refuge. In the middle of the night, I heard scratching on the wooden wall, as if nails were trying to carve through it. I rushed toward the sound, but it stopped suddenly. On the 10th morning, I found the most terrifying message yet, etched on the bathroom mirror by steam. Don't look behind you now. It's too late. As I tried to wipe the mirror with my trembling hand, I noticed the steam gathering around the letters. Suddenly, the writing vanished, and the steam turned into thick frost, covering the glass completely. I rushed out of the bathroom, but a terrible feeling continued to haunt me. I heard a faint tapping sound, as if someone was walking on the wooden floor in the next room. I held my breath and cautiously approached the door. The room was as I had left it, except for one thing. The window was wide open, even though I was sure I had closed it the night before. The biting cold crept inside, and droplets of water gathered on the glass, as if someone had stood there for a long time. Then I noticed something new. On my desk, beside the scattered papers, was a piece of paper I hadn't seen before. My hands shook as I picked it up, unable to stop myself from reading the few words written in a familiar handwriting. You know who I am. I threw the paper away, feeling dizzy. Who wrote it? How had it gotten here without me hearing anything? The house was silent, but I wasn't sure it was empty anymore. Was it an illusion? Or was the house playing with my mind? I decided to search again, but this time with frantic determination. I knocked on the walls with trembling hands, searching for any gap that might conceal a secret passage. Suddenly, a wooden piece slipped under my fingers, revealing a small hole behind it. Inside, I found an old box covered in dust, tied with a frayed rope. When I opened the box, a musty smell crept out, a mix of decaying paper and old dampness. Inside, I found a collection of old letters written in a crooked hand, dating back to the 1950s. I picked up the first letter and opened it carefully. He is watching us. He reads our thoughts. Don't trust even your shadow. A shiver ran down my spine. These words felt like an echo of what I had been feeling over the past days. I picked up another letter, its handwriting more frantic, as if the writer was in a hurry. The messages on the glass aren't warnings. They are witnesses to our sins. My heart started racing. What did this mean? Who wrote these messages? Was it one of the previous residents? I continued to examine the contents of the box and found, among the letters, a small leather-bound notebook. When I flipped through its pages, I found the diary of someone. He wrote about the sounds at night, about the messages that appeared to him, and about his feeling that the house was never truly empty. Then I read something that made my blood run cold. Every time I try to leave, something happens that makes me stay, as if the house refuses to let me go. I lifted my eyes from the notebook and stared at the room around me. I felt that I was no longer alone, though the house was completely silent. I took a deep breath, put the papers back into the box, and closed the wooden hole. As it was, I decided to leave it at that. But I couldn't stop thinking, what had happened to this person? Had he managed to leave? That night, I stayed awake, watching the window, waiting for something to appear. And when the steam began to condense on the glass due to the night's cold, something unexpected appeared before me. This time, it wasn't a new message, but just one name, written in a handwriting almost identical to mine. It was my name, Leo. I tried to escape. I went back to the city, but the terror never left me. Over time, I began to wonder if leaving had really changed anything. Was it over when I left? Or had I carried something with me that I couldn't get rid of? On some nights, when I look at my window glass, I almost see faded letters form for a moment before disappearing, as if they're waiting for the right time to return. I don't know if I will ever get an answer, but a feeling lingers with me. As if the messages aren't over yet. Years have passed and I still live in the city, but every morning I carry my black coffee and look out my empty windows, waiting. This was Leo's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling tales. Have a horror story of your own? Drop it in the comments below. Your story might just be the next one we share.